good night, dear listeners. Welcome once again to... I've gone for a different type of introduction today because the last one I did hurt my throat and it was really hard to talk throughout the entire episode.
I mean, I hadn't told you about that every single episode up until doing that.
Not at all. No, the only way to learn is by doing.
Yeah. No. You can sometimes take instruction from others, or these things that are called books, and there are other avenues. I don't need to learn that touching fire is bad.
Well,
countless other people have learned that lesson on my behalf ahead of it. And it's foolish of me to ignore the sacrifice that they have made.
I feel that you're not paying attention to all the Flat Earth members around the globe.
Oh, I am paying attention. Marking where they live so they can be first, second, third, fourth, fifth against the wall when the revolution comes.
So one of my favourite things in the world is the Flat Earth Society on their main website says they have members all around the globe, which is one of the goddamn funniest things I've ever come across. Idiots.
Oh. One of my favourite wrestlers, AJ Styles, who is sadly a redneck, and he was challenged by someone else. He goes, AJ, you think the Earth is flat? He goes, no, I don't think it's flat, but there's something in it. What arseholes and idiots.
Which is why I've been trying to set up a conspiracy theory for the flat hollow Earth. If you kick down really, really hard, you fall into a small 6-foot gap between us and space.
Yeah, I mean, we need conspiracy wars where all these mad fannies all have to fight out over the VAs, because I want to see the flat earthers going up against the hollow earth Naziers. The ones that think the Nazis escaped to the bowels of the earth after World War II.
Yep.
Get them in there. It's like, and have them fight it out.
This is like the 100 men versus one gorilla, only it's 100 flat earthers versus 100 hollow earthers, and you want to see who wins out. But of course, whoever wins out doesn't matter because we just drop a virus bomb in on them.
Oh no, but again, there's all the mad theories you can get. That's probably your headline bout. Opening pay-per-view. Basically, just run it like a wrestling promotion for a while. No, UCFC, Ultimate Conspiracy Fighting Championship.
Welcome to the first episode of UFCC. We're gonna find ourselves with the Bigfooters, and they're gonna fight against the goat suckers. Yeah, man.
I mean, while on the surface, anyone listening thinking, has Turnbull absolutely lost his mind? This is not the maddest sport that would be around. Karjitsu is a thing.
What the hell is Karjitsu?
Basically, imagine having a jiu-jitsu competition inside a small hatchback where you start off wearing seatbelts, both of you wearing seatbelts, then it fights 3 rounds. Again, from the sort of people that bought you slap fight.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a popular thing with me and some friends. We've a Zoom call to catch up once a week, and mad stuff always surfaces. And from the same people that brought you that, you also have Coffin Wars. Again, important to read you from the website. I've seen a couple of photos. The show isn't up yet, but I'm eagerly awaiting to watch it. So, like I say, niche sports. However mad you think a niche sport is, someone's already trying to make money off it. To go back to Karjitsu, because we were talking about on Saturday, is they had some merch for Karjitsu, and it's like one of the t-shirts was pretty much just, you can't actually wear that out in the street without someone thinking you are going to assault someone. I just need to find the actual shirt. Just to, it's like, I love seatbelt chokes. It's a t-shirt you can buy in the year of our Lord 2025. And it's obviously into the I love it's the heart, obviously, but even so, it's like, you're going to wear that out and about.
Well, I mean, I did once have a Charles Manson t-shirt that said, he's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy. So, idiot will wear it. And I do claim myself as when I was 14, I was an idiot, as all 14-year-olds are.
Yes, everyone will be an idiot at some point in their past, and their present, and their future. We are all capable of it, and we'll be doing it. And in some areas, we will always be idiots.
Especially when it comes to looking at Monster in my pocket on eBay.
Yes, eBay does make one make questionable fiscal decisions.
Makes fools of us all. As always, I am Adam, and this, of course, is Andy.
Hello, and we're here to talk about the 10th issue of Warhammer Monthly.
We are indeed 10th issue, which came out, he says, looking at the picture, December 1998.
And now 44 pages every month. The scan we have is less than 44 pages.
It is.
Possibly some adverts and maybe some filler that the person didn't want to scan. And it's one of these things. Thank you for whoever did this, because this is important preservation, because it's difficult to get hold of this stuff. So this is why piracy isn't always a bad thing. However, I always like them including the adverts, because I view them as, I like to get a snapshot of where they were at the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's one of the things picking up as a comic reader, picking up vintage back issues, is I will enjoy the adverts sometimes more than the vintage comic I picked up.
Well, absolutely. There's points in history where, I mean, if you look at anything that was coming out from Image in the sort of mid 90s to the late 90s, the adverts that they ran in that were pitch perfectly thrown at a certain demographic, and they are fascinating to look at.
And even as you go further back, like 70s stuff, where you would have adverts for Star Wars toys drawn by the Joe Kubert studio, rather than things like that. Or so all these things are just, love to see what was kind of seen to be the thing that would actually connect with kids.
Yeah.
And then realise, yeah, it probably did, because you were a mark and bought stuff like that, so it clearly worked. So,
Comics magazines is
my favourite one of all time was that one, but it's the one where you had to, it's more for the US, you had to deliver that newspaper. Was it Grit?
Yes.
That's the one that always, whenever I picked up a US issue, and you kind of went in like this weird world where if you deliver the newspaper, you get points or whatever, and you could get all this crap.
Oh man, I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah. That's good.
I realise that there's probably, most people are now going, what are these idiots babbling? What the hell is Grit? And it's like, I'm assuming you can Google it. I'm not doing it now because I've got Adam on one screen, I've got Warhammer Monthly on the other, so, and computers are in the other room. So, but these are all the weird things. I always like this. It's a bit of a shame that we don't have them in here.
Yes, yeah.
But so we've expanded the page count. One thing, price point's still the same, so it's worth noting.
No, which is kind of surprising. Also kind of gives you an idea that this was doing pretty well for itself.
So you're looking at, as we've said in others, black and white printing will always be cheaper than colour, because to explain, at this point, because of the scale, they are using proper printing presses. So they are, if you're doing colour, you're using multiple plates. This is mostly black and white bar the cover, so you're only doing the colour plate for one spread or 4 pages, and then the rest black and white. So just a black plate. So significantly cheaper.
Yeah, it brings the price way down. I was always surprised when I found out how much cheaper black and white printing is compared to colour. And it's not a small fraction of a price either. It is a huge amount of money.
Oh, yes. Again, it's because to explain is, for anyone that doesn't know, if you're doing a proper traditional style printing, what happens is you have printing plates. And what you have is, for example, if everything on the plate is done by the colour, so it's CMYK, so it's cyan, yellow, magenta, or key, or black. But it's key black. The reason for that is anything that's got lines, black is the key part. The colour is adds to it. So all you have is 4 plates, and you have a plate that has all the black values on it, plate that has all the cyan, the magenta, and the yellow, one after the other, and the paper is fed through the printing presses and the plates one at a time in a very specific order. Because that's why if you're old enough to remember getting stuff where you would buy a comic and you'd suddenly see that characters that were meant to be red and blue suddenly looked purple and green, it's because the plates were the wrong way around.
Yep.
Or the paper was fed through in the wrong order. It's difficult to, so that's why you don't really see that as much digitally now.
No, our time's moved on and technology's got better.
Yeah, but also there's a certain charm to that as well.
Oh yeah,
and that's why you would sometimes see colours going off to one side, but it would just be all of the yellow, or there'd be a halo of yellow, a halo of red, or a halo of blue. That's why. Old man speaks about archaic technology, which still has a job.
Comics.
Yeah. So on to issue 10. So what we have here is the cover is the Samos sanction, which was spotlighted in the contents page on the last issue. So our one-off cover.
Doesn't it look a lot better not crushed into the corner?
And also in the colour it was done in rather than just converted to grayscale.
Yes.
This is our Vindicare Assassin from 40k.
Mm-hmm. Looking more like Snake Eyes than Snake Eyes does.
Yeah. However, I don't feel that we'll discuss in the story, but and even at the time, there's a very clear inspiration for who the Vindicare is. It's not Snake Eyes. If you know 2000 AD, you know who I'm going to say. So inside the Samos sanction and telling us we've got Dwarflord, Shadowfast, and Demonifuge again. Nice cover. It's nice and bright. This is done by Paul Staples.
Yep. I don't know Paul Staples.
I've seen he has done some 2000 stuff around about the time. I think I want to say some Rogue Trooper and a little bit Dread and some bits and bobs. You can see from it that there's the Bisley influences there. Again, it's what so more to do with the bits that show out in terms of where it's Bisley's, the gun and the ammo casings. Very.
Yeah. Because the actual body itself is it's a lot more lithe than Bisley would do.
Yeah, well, Bisley was capable of lithe, but and would do it from time to time. But yeah, it's not as exact. The thing that people often forget about Bisley is there's a rich cartooniness to a lot of his work.
Yes,
and a cartoony exaggeration which gets lost. There's not really any of that here. While this is kind of your typical comic book, slightly exaggerated anatomy, it's still a more grounded one.
Yeah,
I do take your point. He is very lithe, so this is kind of trying to show you this is an agile as well as a strong character.
Yeah,
lots of explosions, lots of gunfire. He is doing that stupid gun pose though with the pistol.
Yes,
he's like, just no. I know it was a thing. It was cool, but no, it's not the way to hold the gun.
No. In the same way that you don't hold a bow and arrow in the forward motion sideways, it ruins the shot.
Yeah. Oh, also just to do with the fact that any recoil will snap your wrist.
Absolutely. It's all right. He's in the 41st millennium. He's got augmented wrists.
Oh, yeah, he probably has. I can't remember what the Vindicare had at the time, but yeah, it's
Not.
Yeah, it's the first one that I would say that feels like this is a comic cover. Yeah.
Yes.
The rest of all, I say we've talked about the rest having nice art and being good pieces, but not necessarily being a cover. I think one of the Darkblade ones came close. We quite like that.
That's right. Yeah, the purple.
This is all about the strip, but but yeah, this is the one that's this is the most comic-y. This is the one that's kind of this is a comic.
I thought so. It's one of the things that kind of took away from this is, it's an actual comic book cover. That's nice. That makes me happy. And it helps that the font at the bottom is easy to read. The logo is easy to read. It's just a solid, really solid cover. It's taken us 10 issues to get to this point.
Again, as we said, it's very much you have a magazine publishing company going in terms of their print work for magazines or books, which were just basically, I mean, for all the rule books and codex were just big, massive magazines, really.
Yeah.
Because the format they were. So you have that. And as I say, it comes from very much that style of design is different from comic book cover design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big time.
And there's tricks that work for one that don't work for that, and there's tricks that work for one that the other doesn't use, and vice versa. Because it's always interesting when certain comic publishers will do a more magazine style cover for a gimmick or that, and it does stand out and it helps it pop out on the shelf. And it's why, again, if you look at it that way, how many magazines now do subscriber exclusive covers that don't have any of the crap on the front? Your DWM, Edge.
Majority of them now, I think.
I think Vogue, Vanity Fair, all that do that sort of thing where you get the cover shot unencumbered anything bar, I think, a logo or the top logo, and that'll be about it.
It's usually an embossed logo as well, so it doesn't actually interfere with the art.
So you can kind of see that over time, magazines have went. Oh, these covers are very pretty. People will like them to be less festooned with copy about what crap's on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you will even see now games magazines do tend to try and certainly Edge has probably been the easiest example of that. They've always had probably one of the more strong design ethos of video game publishing.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah,
Even if you remember, Games Workshop tried it a little bit later. Remember Warhammer Visions when they changed?
Unfortunately, yes.
I kind of like that. I just think. I think Warhammer Vision was a very nice photo book that needed some lore in it.
Yes.
I think they got 3/4 of it right, but needed to tip it over the line.
I always feel that it felt like a missed opportunity.
So I remember getting the first issue from Asda of all places and going, and this is before I got back into the hobby.
Yeah.
I just sort of went, oh, it's a new issue 1. What would and it was just hobby lots, and I think it was sealed at the time, a sealed baggie with whatever was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I maybe misremember, but I seem to think it might have been. And so I picked up, I was like, oh, this is lovely. But once I went through all the photos, like, there's no meat on the bones here. There's a lot to pull over, but this needed lore. This needed a couple of stories, battle report or something.
Yeah, big time. Well, there's a reason why that it went back to White Dwarf after 18 months.
Well, yeah, they did White Dwarf alongside it, which kind of was the scaled down bit, which was an interesting approach. I don't mind publishers doing that. I'm always in favour of, you know what, try something new. You might get, because even if it doesn't work, you'll get some learnings from it that you can fold back into White Dwarf. And I think you can agree once Warhammer Visions folded into White Dwarf, the new White Dwarf was massively different from previous White Dwarf.
It was, and it was a lot better than what it had been in the lead up to Visions. Yeah, it was a solid magazine for a good 5 years. I think it's in need of a shake-up now. But for those first 5 years when it came back, it was doing amazing work.
But that's the thing is, it's also, you need to cycle through your editorial teams and your design teams and what have you to get things shot in the arm. Or, not necessarily, or if you have or not so much get rid of your design team, but if your publishing design team have designed your look and then that's it, the editor then does it all. 5 years, it's time for a wee refresh, and it's not throw everything out, but it's just like, look, give it a spit and polish so it looks different. So it'll provoke a reaction from your existing readers, which is engagement, which even if they hate it, it's still worth rather than apathy.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas somebody that's not reading it, it might potentially go, oh, that's, and have a pickup. Again, we talk about the work of covers all the time. It's all these things you're looking at trying to entice someone to pick it up.
Yeah.
But no, I would say that the most comic-y cover so far. So will it be the first of it, or will it be a momentary blip? Well, we'll find out next issue.
And I'm hoping that it sticks with comic book covers going forward. Really hoping that's the case.
Likewise, but we will see. So we will take our step inside, and again we have our next month, and we'll go to the spotlight image of what's coming next month, because we keep seeing this. Readability is absolutely dreadful. It's Inquisitor, something of or Warhammer Monthly.
Tiny letters.
Yeah, it's like, let the galaxy burn. It's like, who thought that was a good idea? Just, and by the way, the galaxy can away and fuck itself. Sorry to intrude. On my way now. Bye-bye.
If it's not too much trouble, can the galaxy burn, please?
Yeah.
Kill.
Yeah, so you've got somebody or something with a gun shooting. I think is it maybe Simon Colby art? I'm not sure. I cannot remember.
Can't tell you from this picture, I'm afraid.
But yeah, so again, it's like I like that you're seeing what's coming up. We're getting a teaser for things that are going through, but just honestly, just print it out and see how bad it looks, and then edit it so I can actually read the damn thing.
Yeah, it's every issue now that we hit this problem.
Yeah.
Where the next issue, the next month, spoiler, is just so badly put together. It always feels like an afterthought. It always feels like the last thing that they did when putting the magazine together, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Again, sidebar the comic, Dwarflords we're finding out that they've now fallen into the hands of the Chaos Dwarfs.
Yeah, they have.
Oh dear. We'll come to that. I suspect this is one of the ones we haven't talked beforehand about the contents of the issue because we were talking about things about Vinted and other nonsense. I suspect I know where Adam's going to be going with Dwarflords.
I've got thoughts.
Sure. Demonofuge letting us know that we've got the again, just recapping that there's a sinister secret. It's linked to Ephraim Stern's past. The Samo section is basically just telling us that enemies of the Imperium should beware the sniper's bullet of the Vindicate assassin, but all missions are straightforward as they seem. Shadowfast, I know for well I'm going to be very happy at this because it tells us we're going to see Skaven in this one. So
best. I will brook no arguments. Every single negative hits the big craggy walls that is, we have Skaven and Chaos Dwarfs.
Yeah. It is mad to think the Warhammer stuff has kind of skirted. We really haven't had any of the big. Well, I think Chaos. This is a bit of a weird one in Warhammer because it's a big all-power thing, but as a faction, it's kind of a bit nebulous because obviously the 4 powers and all that. We're not really. We're so far into it, 10 months in, and really the Empire has really been mentioned in little bits here and there.
Do you know who has made the most appearances so far from Warhammer Fantasy? I looked this up. I went back and I checked.
It'll be Chaos.
Well, yes, but as a overview, the Skaven have the most characters so far. So the Skaven have turned up no less than 4 times now in different strips.
Yeah. So but it's weird. Yeah, it's just mad that it's like we're 10 issues in and we haven't really had much play with orcs.
No, been no orcs and goblins. There's been no squigs. There's been no. I mean, you could say that the Dark Elves have had the most appearances with thingy with Darkblade.
Delric.
Yeah, Delric. But yeah, as an actual full faction, yeah, the Skaven have had the most appearances. It's crazy. Makes me happy.
Yeah. I say I'm always a big fan of the Skaven. I say,
yes.
In terms of Warhammer, Chaos Dwarfs are my boys, always my boys, because I got it through Blood Bowl and that was my first team, and it's like that's my faction. Loved them. I mean,
he sits on my desk. He is my Chaos Dwarf mate.
Yeah, they were my boys. It's again just great fact. Limited arm. I think the fact that you didn't have a huge amount of options with Chaos Dwarfs in terms of your army made it easier. Just that's fine. I've just mass ranks of blunderbuss, mass ranks of the guys with the axes, and then mostly goblins because you didn't really have a huge amount of bull centaurs at that point, and you only had like Astaroth and obviously the Lamassu and the Great Taurus, and your bolt thrower and whatever the 3 cannons.
The Earthshaker cannon, the Death Shrieker rocket.
Yeah,
and that was about it.
So it was quite easy to get an army together.
Although I always find it weird that you never got the rules for like different races as slaves. You only got the orcs and goblins as slave races.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have just an entire unit of elves as a slave race. It's like, get on in. Born to die. Get in there.
I think the issue with that is that it doesn't really work in the battle, because I can see why you'd like it, but it would be, all right, we're in open there. There's a slave master behind, like a whip and all that. I've just given you some swords. You're gonna fucking leg it.
Yeah.
They'll take the risk of getting shot or stabbed in the back or what have you. It's like, we're in battle, can easily sneak away. Brother, yeah, sorry, they've enslaved us. I'll join you and I'll stab them. So you've got. I know it really wouldn't work, but
no, that's why you don't give them swords. You just send them to fight.
But again, what do they do? Unless you're.
Yeah, I know.
Nice idea, but no, not practical. So anyway, we're dallying enough. I suspect this could be a delaying tactic on Adam's part to before we go into the lead strip, which we get another recap of one of the Dwarflords. We get Ethgrim Paingrinder. Again, the criticism from last issue still stand. It's got the map at the bottom, which is nice, but drop that grade down by another 10% so I can read things properly.
Yeah.
Little footnotes in terms of giving you the dwarf language, bits of the dwarf language as it is in the Warhammer Fantasy world as per Games Workshop.
I do love the word muckers. Muckers being dwarvish, a close or valued clansman. That's brilliant.
Again, just as you've touched on previous episodes, it's moving them away from kind of the Tolkien stuff into just basically northern lads.
Yep, they're very Yorkshire, and I am always going to be happy when the dwarfs go full. It's Yorkshire with Swedish names, and that's great.
Yeah. So again, it's just got a big axe. It's got a big rune of death, a rune of cleaving, a rune of striking, and a rune of breaking. Yeah, it's a dwarf.
It's a dwarf, and there's not really much here that. Yeah, there's nothing here that kind of makes him special in the dwarfs, which is fine because at the end of the day, not every character has to be a super godlike special character. But you could have just done with something.
It doesn't have any personality to him.
No.
It reads like a first run character sheet for a D&D session before you decide you've just rolled your stats and you're putting in what he's got, but you're not putting who he is yet.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Again, it's as we're about to come. It's the shame of Dwarflords is it started off with such promise and just it's not delivering. So I'm going to, as Adam said, he has thoughts.
Yes.
What do you?
So, story so far. After being transported far from Carrick Cadrin by a Chaos Sorcerer's incantation, the Dwarflords are trying to find their way home again. But now they've fallen into the hands of their hated cousins, the Chaos Dwarfs. And we have script and art by Paul Davidson, letters by Gordon Robson, Chapter 3, The Darklands, where the art is really nice, if not a little too dark in some places, but it is a glorious thing to look at when you're not looking at the dwarfs. Did you find this problem?
The dwarfs are so indistinct.
Yes. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Like the Chaos Dwarfs and the Hobgoblins are all properly on model, all looking great.
Yeah.
But I also think that there are times the panels don't really help in terms of the composition of it's not clear. Artists do like to break between panels and things, but there are times where, particularly if you're dealing with large, as Adam said, some of the more dark ones, you want a clearer delineation between the images, just to aid readability. It's also a thing that strikes me, and because to skip ahead, in the letters page, one of the letters published calls out that they don't normally read comics. Now, that readability is a big thing in terms of if you want people to read who don't read comics to get into it. So I've got mates who I've got into certain comics but they don't like complicated layouts because they find it difficult to parse. If you're familiar with comics, you know the tricks. You can also see where the artist and the writer aren't in step and see where the mistakes have been made and move and follow the page flow.
Yeah.
If you don't read comics regularly or you haven't been exposed to them, you get lost. And the minute you lose the reader, are they going to continue? It's why there's certain comic artists that you can just, even if, whatever the subject, if someone says, I've never read comics, what would you recommend? Which is a horrible question, but people will always ask, and it's like, what books do you like? But once you've got a genre, there are certain people whose work you know, if they do it, and whatever they do, if they've got work in that genre that appeals to your friend, you can give it. I would say Steve Dillon is probably the god tier of that. From Preacher, anything else. Storytelling and his layouts were always so clear and so concise.
Yes, absolutely.
And you can go to anyone who's not comic literate here, read Preacher. Whereas we always talk about things like Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns as being these high examples of the art form of comics. These are horrible books to get.
You need to understand comics before you can go into them.
Correct. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. So you're looking at things that are very clear, the layouts are concise, things like Mike Parobeck on the Batman Adventures comic, these are things that just anyone can read and can follow. I'd say John Cassidy on Planetary with Scumbag Warren Ellis, and also Astonishing X-Men with other scumbag Josh Whedon.
Mm-hmm.
Poor John Cassidy, great artist. You seem to pick lots of scumbags to work with.
Does he pick them, or is he just given them?
Yeah, I think so. He passed away, I think last year. But again, but these are the type of artists. It's clear, it's easy to follow. I'd say that's what you want in a book.
Yeah.
We don't have it here. The artist there, and I say goes the. Again, my praise from the first issue regarding the drawn sound effects, like on page 2 when he's doing the bugle blowing and it takes round. It's the integration of the effects, the lettering, it's beautiful. The Chaos Dwarfs and the Hobgoblins look suitably monstrous.
They do. And the fact that Zarkan has a big wheel for it instead of legs is such a great little thing to have. Although, it took me a while to realise he had wheels instead of legs.
Again, the readability is such that heavy blacks obscure it. It's like I say, the Bisley influence on this is massive. This is probably so far. I'd said in the first issue there is shades of Bisley here. The third page of the story in the Pits of Zar, that's just you love the Biz. I love the Biz.
Mm-hmm. All right-minded people love the Biz.
However, if you look at a lot of his black and white, there's a lot of expansive white in there. He would do heavy black sparingly, actually.
Yes.
He realised that, I was talking about this in another Discord group the last couple of days, is about storytelling being key. Pretty drawings are all well and good for covers and for illustrations. But what you want here is readability and a flow, so I can follow the story. And this is where Dwarflords just isn't working.
No.
I can look at individual panels in isolation, and they're almost all brilliant, but the flow of the story isn't there.
No, it's not.
And that hurts it more than else. And you can tell when he's recognised that as the writer, which is why there's a lot of over-descriptive terminology and writing, because it's not clear in the art. It's not clear in the storytelling.
The fact that the captions keep giving you people's names.
Yeah.
It takes you out of the story. I mean, there's a page here. The Ethgrim produces an undiscovered blade. Next panel. To the amusement of the crowd. Next panel. Ethgrim gets the joke. Next panel. Ragwraith Spleen Chewer, Savage Black Orc Warlord. It should be show, don't tell. You don't need to have these captions there. You should be able to see what's happening, and you can't. And that's the problem. Where, you're absolutely right. The artwork itself is gorgeous. That first panel where you've got all the Chaos Dwarf armies and the Lamazoo is gorgeous, and I would love to have that on my wall. But as an actual piece of storytelling, it is almost impenetrable. And I agree with you. I think the use of drawn sound effects is gorgeous. I just wish that it didn't. The entirety of the strip slides my attention off it like hot butter off a knife, because it's so difficult to actually pay attention to.
I am fighting against the story, and it's one thing that I've mentioned it before on early episodes, when Frank Miller talked about comics, and he said a rather telling thing is like, when I'm doing a comic, the reader is my enemy, because what I'm trying to do is keep their attention where they want to move on.
Yeah.
And there's ways to cheat. And he talked about it's like you can just fill a page with lots of words and they've got to read it. But what you're looking to do is get interesting images that hold the attention, and as they follow the story, that they will stop and they will linger and appreciate and then move on.
Yeah.
Here, we're having to stop, not to pay attention and linger to enjoy it, but to work out what's happening. And it takes away from once you have to do that, the enjoyment of the story goes.
Yeah.
Yes, the Batman Guy Gardner one-punch fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a big guy. Yep, nice. Yeah. Sorry.
The fact that they grab hold of a Chaos Dwarf Bull Centaur and ride him to freedom is funny. But once again, it's hard to pass it out.
Yeah, like I say, the quality of the art is exceptional, and and it's one where this needed more work in the layouts rather than at the end.
Yeah,
and again, to go back another conversation we're having with the same group we're talking about is like Frank Quitely of All Star Superman, and he talks about his actual drawing doesn't take him long. It's the stuff he has to do before he starts the page that takes him the time. He goes, and he said in interviews, it takes him even longer now because as he knows more about storytelling, he takes more time getting the layouts right.
Yes,
and as can be seen with the All-Star Superman, X-Men, all the stuff he does with Mark Miller. Why do you work with Mark Miller? I mean, I'm assuming he's your mate. Could you just not work with a better writer?
And Frank Quitely is one of those weird ones where I love the way he presents things on the page. I've never been a huge fan of his actual art style.
Oh no, I love it because it's solid. There's weight. Heft to every and again, one of these, he doesn't have to do it with lots of black, so that he's able to construct a dense looking figure.
Oh yeah,
it's a conversation I had on a panel with Jack Lawrence at one of the mini cons. Is art is entirely subjective in that you will have an appreciation of it and you will like things because you will dislike them because of it. That is fine. It doesn't necessarily mean the art is inherently bad, and that's the point to remember. While you can say, again, we've talked before, cause celebrity is Rob Liefeld. Yeah, his anatomy's not great, but his work has an appeal. And there are people who like it, and there are people who do not like it. That's it. You can rag on him for certain things all you want. I can pull, he doesn't like drawing feet. No artist likes drawing feet. Go and look at Mike Mignola's work. Try and find a foot in his work.
There's a reason Hellboy has hooves.
But there are things, and again, so there are always weaknesses, but the art will have an appeal. So you can say, I don't like it. That is fine. There will be certain there are objective things here in terms of comics because it's a story. It's not about the quality of the image. It's about the story.
Yes.
And it's about being able to read it. And it's, we are fighting against the art throughout to read the story. I think, ironically, the best page in terms of storytelling is the last page.
Yeah.
It's a very brief sequence of events, but it's easy to follow all the way through.
It is. And there's a nice little bit in the faster Don't Fail Me Now rope panel where you've got the full silhouette of them with the fire behind them and then the blackness of the tunnel. And it works. It works really well. When you compare it to some of the earlier parts, which have just about as much black in them, it's harder to read. I mean, the wolves, for example, the sequence of the wolves. Tell me that they're wolves from that silhouette.
Yeah, it's
it
is one of these things, and it's also a thing of to also bear in mind that the art. So the panel choices and that aside, it's important to remember that original art for the comic is produced at anything from 1.5 times to 2 times up.
Yes.
So that would probably be significantly more readable at the point of creation and when he's looking on the boards.
Yes.
It's why a lot of people will do their layouts at print size, then move them up, or smaller and then move them up.
Yeah.
If you look at, to cite Watchmen we cited earlier, there's a book on Watchmen where you can see Dave Gibbons' layouts at very small, I think 4 to a page, and you can read them. You can read it. The actual nuanced substance of the story is still clear on those layouts. Or Kingdom Come. If anyone's got the trademark back of Kingdom Come, you see Alex Ross's layouts in the back for a couple of pages. And you can see, and it tells you the size. It's significantly smaller than the printed, the art he paints it on, and then when it's printed. But you can see from the layouts, it's still perfectly readable. And that's it. I think this is where this story has failed in the layout stage. Because I say the quality art's fantastic.
It is. It really is. And, I'm happy to see Cursed Dwarfs. And genuinely, I would love to have some of this art to go on my wall, the clean version, because It's gorgeous. The hobgoblin on the back of the wolf is really nice. I like the effect of all the slaves having these wooden baffles around the neck. So there's these panels where it looks like they're just a load of decapitated heads. It's an interesting dehumanizing effect. The close-ups on the Cursed Dwarfs' faces are, oh my god, that's great. But as a whole, it becomes less than the sum of its parts because it is so difficult to get through. And it's the same problem we had with it last issue as well.
And I hope it arrests. I'm not entirely confident because when we talked about issue one, we talked about kind of the writer getting in the way of the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Here it very much feels like in the last two, it's the other way around.
Yeah, big time.
It's also a thing about how writers, if you're a writer-artist, it's a unique beast in terms of how you produce the story. Are you doing it from a full script? Are you doing it from a more, the so-called Marvel method, which is not a plot? Or are you just laying out as you go? Because all three approaches have their individual merits and all three have their drawbacks.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this has got the Marvel method to it. There's just something in the way that the story unfolds that makes me feel that stuff was added when after the art was done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's all the names and everything.
Even then, you would still a good writer, if they've enough time, will revise the script, even if it's full script once the artist has got it in, because things will change, or you'll see what they've done. Go, I can maybe tweak a bit of dialogue here, or I don't need this bit. This bit's not clear. I need to. So it's not clear in terms of how it's been constructed, but I think it's definitely either story / layout stages where we lose this, and it's a shame because it's up. I say, aside from obviously Hickland and Harrison, who again unassailable in my eyes, this has probably been this has been the best art in the book.
Yeah,
so far. It's my personal favorite art, and even like. I know we're going to Demonic Fusion next, as I love Kev Walker. It's like, this is the art I've enjoyed the most, outside of my two favourites.
Your two big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you. The art itself, the form of the art is really nice. It's lovely to look at as a single panel. There is a lot here. I mean, honestly, I can't get across how much I love the fact that the Chaos Dwarf has a little wheel. That makes me so happy. It's so bang on the money for what they are as a species. And you got the hobgoblin dude just leering over him, playing. It's great. But then, as I say, my attention just slides right off it because it's so hard to read.
It's just a fight to get through, which is a shame. And I want it to get better. I hope it does, because obviously, or with the best one in the world is if Paul Davison gets another, if it is, say, script layout, as if we see him again with a stronger writer with a firmer grasp.
Mm-hmm.
Can we really have some fun here? Because let's say, individually, I like all that art, but just as we said, you're fighting to read it. It just takes and it stops you enjoying the art at the same time. You don't want to read the book, and go, oh, it's just, and that's what you feel like. That's the problem. Like, I mean, if it had terrible art, it'd be just such an easy skip because you wouldn't even try. I'm moving right on to the end, and I'm going to the next story. Whereas here, you're like, no, I want to like this. I like this art. I want to read this, and I have the hair shirt on.
Yes. Yeah, it's the best way to describe it is, that at the top of the cliff there is a bag of Skittles, but the cliff is almost impassable. At some point, you give up on the Skittles, and I don't want to give up on the Skittles because there is things here I really like. I love the characterization in the faces. I love the layout, not the layout, the form, the actual structure of it all. But the way it's all.
Paul, why won't you let us taste the rainbow?
Just want to taste the rainbow, officer. Is that so wrong? Is it so wrong? Just scratching at my arm. I got these cheeseburgers, man.
Yeah, so we've dwelled now, and again, it's a case of love the art, Paul, but this needed to be better laid out, and it would have been a banger. Because, as I say, All of us love Chaos Horse. You've got a handle on them, on the cruelty. I say,
Yep.
Again, but what we're seeing is we have the Darkblade problem. Is the least interesting character as your protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, they're just there.
Like,
Well, I'll put it this way: describe me one of the three main characters.
he's got a beard, not very tall, likes an axe. Yeah. To step away from this one specifically, we've now had two dwarf-centric stories. This is the ongoing, and you had the one with Grundhelm's Grudge. Dwarfs is like, I know we talk about we've touched on generic fantasy, but it is very much, dwarfs are kind of as it is, what they presented are very much generic dwarfs. You would have thought, if you want to get dwarfs there, I'd have went with one of your mad engineering guys, or grab a troll slayer.
Yeah, I'm shocked that there hasn't been a Troll Slayer series. I mean, there might be when this is finished. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, something like...
To show what Games Workshop... Not that your dwarven engineers are really different from anything else, but to give Games Workshop the dwarf engineers in terms of what they would... The hard way they come up was always interesting, so you could kind of focus a bit on that. Or, like, say, the Troll Slayer was always interesting. So, and visually distinct, so it's not just a generic dwarf, which is an inherent we did talk about it's an inherent problem when you're dealing with certain fantasy characters. It's generic dwarf, generic knighted, generic armored human.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with dwarves is that they're always going to be short, grumpy, taciturn gold lovers, and it's just a problem in fantasy. It's something that dwarves always are, which is why I intend to write a book where all the dwarves are Italian-American. What matter you, eh?
The spectre of the dwarf versions of Goodfellas and The Sopranos.
Absolutely. Oh no, it's a gabagool.
Some dwarvish Joe Pesci.
Am I a dwarf here just to amuse you?
But it's one of these things that, again, they kind of, when they did their again, because it's straight up from, obviously, it's like the shadow of Tolkien. It's like, just, can you not do something slightly vaguely different?
And the dwarves do take a massive jump forward. 98, in about 4 to 5 years from now, they really do kind of make a difference. You know, they try to make dwarves something else. And whilst they don't get too far away from what's comfortable, they get enough of their own personality that they stop being 100% Tolkien-esque. As I say, that strong Yorkshire bent starts coming in, and that's always such a weird thing to have, but it works for them. It really does work for them.
So we'll stop there, because otherwise it's one of these things that it's not an objectively bad story. It's, again, as we said last episode, it's disappointing because you can see what's there and there's a lot to like.
Yeah.
It's just, you're struggling against the material, and it is disappointing. So again, Jim Campbell and Kev Walker on script, with Kev on art and Fiona Stevenson on letters. So we're about to find out what the whole story is, or are we?
Oh, is it the full story? Quick synopsis. On Parnis, a lost order of Adeptus Sororitas hides a sinister secret that is somehow linked to Ethereal Stern's own dark and mysterious past. So
the last issue, we find out that inexplicably the Inquisitor is being tormented by a chaos creature in his own mind, saved by Stern, and it turns out they've somehow survived when they shouldn't have. They both should have been dead, but they're miraculously all right. The Inquisitor is convinced he's not tainted by it's not anything to do with chaos, and he's not tainted by it, so he doesn't pay any mind. It's nice that the rest of the sisters just go, aye, that's fine. Not a word is said. Just other than last year, they shouldn't be alive.
Yes.
Very definition of blind faith. And it's nice that he doesn't entertain that it's chaos. Now, you're assuming it's because he knows the feel and what have you. So it's not really explicitly said in the story, but like, yeah, why aren't they suspicious of him? Is it because she's alive as well and they're extending that? He's effectively, if they accuse him, they have to accuse her.
Mm-hmm. It's a point.
Yeah. But it's like, he's basically saying the place is slick with chaos, but the enemy's not here. I'd feel it. Slick with chaos just after you're resurrected. That's fine. But nope, nobody cares. They're not bothering about it. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know what it is. There's a big scream happens. It's like, but it's coming from this way. And he's like, the darkness was more than just an absence of light. It was a shroud over all that happened here. A lovely bit of purple prose. And then you get...
Yeah.
It's
what the fuck?
It's effectively what looks like a big, massive skin-shrouded brain with fiber bundles going out of it.
Yeah. Just all these faces drenched on bone in this giant circle. It's my God.
So the Inquisitor's basically, he's not having a good time at this.
The monstrosity tears at my very mind with its howling.
And Ephraim Stern does straight out of Alien Covenant. What's this big monstrosity thing? It looks weird. I'm going to touch it. Just not. Now, we find out
that is not a thing for touching. Look at it, Imperial. It's not for touching.
Ooh, let's look at the skin wrapped round bone and horrible, distorted parodies of humanity. That's a wee touch. And just as she's about to touch it, wee jolt of electricity goes between the two. Welcome home, sister. It's like, all of a sudden I'm glad I'm left home. And so we get the big reveal that that is the assembled group of the Sororitas from that monastery. But they weren't sisters of battle. They were actually following the winding path of study.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, and so they found their studies were discovered. It was a greater demon of Slaanesh, the Keeper of Secrets. But they managed to imprison one, or find one that was imprisoned, and they would study it so they could understand the enemy and learn its weakness.
Never do that. Never do that.
And the Inquisitor at this point, while he's clearly off camera, is like, yeah, if I'd been here, you were all dead.
He's trying desperately to shoot the faces with his gun, even though he can't see through the migraine.
And should they call it, the price was higher, numbers succumbed to its lies and whispers and had to be cleansed by sword and fire. So they moved the study, hidden from righteous eyes, until they were certain the knowledge was safe to share. So for 300 years they kept doing it. And it's like, oh, our studies were finally ended when it escaped. Yeah, because nobody saw that happening.
I like our studies were finally ended. It's not it escaped and attacked us. It's, oh no, our studies. I was going to get extra merits on this. God damn it.
And it's like, he considered himself an artist of pain, and we're his masterpiece.
That's good.
Again, it's the Slaanesh stuff leaning into the Clive Barclay stuff, which if you're doing Slaanesh, you really should be doing. It's pain and pleasure and the pervert. And so our souls were not enough, so he needed more to leave this plane and return to the great darkness which spawned him. So basically, as they got closer, Astaroth claimed them. So this is referring to a mission from. It's not clear here, but that's when Stern went to this planet, not the mission that was on just now that we've seen, because we've seen how that happened.
Yeah,
but they basically turned on each other, and she was the only one that survived. And at the end, she decided to jump and basically kill herself to avoid being taken by the demon. And she's like, I died. And like, but you were free of chaos, Ephraim Stern. It's like, and we weren't finished with you. They talk about because Astaroth had bound all of those souls together, their suffering could be shared equally, but because their minds were combined, they were magnified, so they were able to heal her wounds, start heartbeating, and then basically implanted a code that said, flee. So she manages to get away, and which is where she ends up back in that convent fortress monastery, doing all the mad doodling on the walls. and they hid her from the enemies. Hence why the initiating thing is obviously they weren't good enough, and eventually they were found by the enemy. So
off they went. Off they went into the darkness to bring her back.
And so all they're saying is that, and again, they're now they're going to share the last of the secrets so they may complete the great work. And so something in the warp appears.
Stop them, my daughters.
And a whole group of demon-enhanced, what was once Sisters of Battle, just appear.
Mm-hmm.
And so the firefight starts, and the big ball turns around to Silas Hand and entrusts the safety of Ephraim Stern to him. And he's like, "It shall be done. While there is breath in my body, no harm shall befall her."
The pieces are all in place. Now we play the end game. To be concluded. Holy shit, this is good.
The only thing one of the things that annoys it is very pat that he's all of a sudden gone with, "That's fine," because that's still the big brain, the big skin bone brain there is still a thing of chaos.
Yes.
So I am hoping as it goes on, we reveal it's a more pragmatic thing of this will give us secrets that the Inquisition can use, more trustworthy hands and all that, because no Inquisitor's ever gone wrong.
No, never. I will say the bit that I really want to get into here is the way Kev Walker has created the corrupt Sisters of Battle. They look amazing. So you only get to see 2 pictures of them, really. One in the firefight and one when they're all in shadow. But fuck me, they are incredible.
It's, if you actually look, it's you can see where he's borrowing stuff from, because I can see quite clearly. Oh, look, there's your standard Chaos Space Marine backpack.
Yep.
Horn demons, bit of Gene Stealer in there, or Gene Stealer hybrid, some ram horns and stuff. So it's kind of, and again, kind of the armor cables into flesh type thing.
Yeah.
So he's clearly, as he's putting it, what he's doing is rather than cutting from whole cloth, he's just going, I'm taking the bits that are already in the lore or already there and I'll tweak them slightly.
Yep.
It's not criticism, because it's one of these things we've mentioned before in other, mostly the Warhammer strips we've read, is that they've not really pulled from the lore where they should do. And so he's quite wisely going, no, this is the flavour. So there's something to be said for doing your own stuff. And when you're doing demons and stuff, have a bit of latitude. But when you're doing things like chaos corrupted and chaos possessed versions of things that already exist, if there's stuff already out there that's been published or used, pull from it and use it. Take bits of it. It doesn't have to be center, but it's just enough because it grounds it and it reminds people of, this is.
But it's a wonderful use of the visual language of chaos to get the idea across, the concept across. So, whilst it doesn't, nobody turns around and says, "Oh no, corrupted Sisters of Battle. Oh no, demonic Soriatis." You don't need it, because you can tell exactly what's happened to them just by looking at it. And it's great. Yeah. I genuinely love how these things look. And the giant big ball of brain, bone, and skin is truly horrifying. It's Jesus Christ,
it's sort of, but I also can't help but look at it and just see the brains from Futurama, and that's like, me, I'm the greatest. More horrific version, but it very much is the me, I'm winning again. I got a good body. A proud Republican body riddled with phlebitis. Yes, Inquisitor Nixon. Again, the good thing about what we've seen with Demonofuge as it's gone is it's followed the thing of things have, and similar to Blood Quest, things have gradually escalated and built and built and built and built. So you've got, this isn't quite your payoff yet. This is because, as we said, all you found out is they've been studying chaos. They've got something. They're going to share it with Stern. It's important. So you're not at, every question leads to another question, which is kind of what you want in the serial. Because otherwise, if you give all the answer away, it's like, oh, fine, I'm going to do it. Now, it could be anything, some key to sealing the Eye of Terror, killing Slanesh, or dissolving him, or whatever. We don't know, but we will
No.
probably find out at some point during Demonofuge Book 2.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it goes for 3 books, doesn't it, Demonofuge? Memory serves me right.
But this is going to be we're going to get off this planet. Because it's one of the things we know. It's the perception of jeopardy. We know from at this point she's not dying. She died once before the story happened anyway, so, and technically died a second time. So we already had that. So you know for well, her and Hand are getting out of there. Whether anyone else does is doubtful.
That's up in the air.
I do not suspect many of the fellow Sisters of Battle are surviving next issue. And very much the demon will be set back, still trapped on this plane, because if he's escaping, it's just like he's going to the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
You'd imagine. Unless you... Yeah. But the good news is he was trapped. You still don't know how he was trapped, why he was trapped, what he was doing on the plane in the first place. So these are all the things you're going to lean into. So it's clearly going to be not as much as a personal enemy you can have with some warp spawned timeless demon entity.
I've got a feeling that it's going to be the next issue is going to be sticking the demon back in the box.
I don't think it goes back in the box, because what have they learned from him? And if he goes back in the box, how does whatever the threat from that'll be in book 2 and book 3?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to have recurring nemesis here.
Maybe. Be interesting to find out. But as a penultimate episode, this is bloody good stuff. Yeah. This, as you said before, it racks the tension up just enough so you are excited to see what's going to come next. And genuinely, I mean, I could very easily sit here and just go through page by page explaining how every panel is something that I adore to bits, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, because good God, that would be a long show. Yeah. But I mean, everything gets the story told. It gives you so much, and there's just enough to kind of poke at the idea of what's behind the curtain. Yes, you're looking at Stern in her undead phase, so to speak, and it's horrifying. It is truly horrific.
Yeah. One of the things about this, there's a danger with anything when you're doing serial storytelling, is like you're doing is, as we've talked about, either fetch quest or what have you, is as you go through and you reveal stuff, once you reveal something, that's your reveal, and it kind of can stop the story dead a little bit.
Yep.
And here it's not. We've given you a reveal, but we've not given you the full reveal. We've given you enough that as the reader, you don't feel like you've been cheated, but we haven't given you all of the answers.
So you've got to come back.
There's more to be told, because that's the thing, is that when you do big reveals in comics, or indeed any kind of serial storytelling, if the reveal isn't strong enough, you'll lose the
lost problem.
Or also, if the reveal isn't enough and it's stringing you along, you'll lose. The reader may stick with you, but they're now less likely to continue all the way in the journey. And if a further reveal isn't satisfying, you will lose them. Because it's a balancing act in terms of getting it just right. Because you've seen, it's like every cliffhangers with this cliffhanger at the end of it, I've unmasked the villain and it's my dad. And then the next issue you find out, no, it's not your dad, it's just someone who looks scarily like him. Comics historically been really bad for this, in terms of you got your big massive reveal of here's a shock. And next issue, they undercut it entirely, or it's just spaffed away.
And the one that springs to my mind there is Strife from the X-Men comic. It looks just like Cable. Oh, it's a clone.
I didn't mind that, to be fair, because when they do that, I would say I quite like that, up to a point. It's the whole when you find out, because I quite like the reveal when you find out that everyone, Scott and Jean, assume that Strife is their son, and Cable's the clone. And then it transpires, no, Cable is actually your son.
Yeah, Battle of Strife.
But yeah, there's I say a good reveal and a hook, but it's always like, again, it's the cliffhanger, next issue, next installment, and if it's not satisfying, you've lost them. So there's nothing to come back for.
Yeah. Also, this really has me. I'm looking forward to when we record next. Really looking forward to getting the last part of Demonifuge. This has been really good all the way through. I've been really surprised at how much I've really enjoyed it. And that was too many uses of the word really.
Yeah. No, it's as we've said, it just seemed, with the notable exception of Shadowfast, really, it's been telling that most of the 40k centric stuff has generally had a stronger run overall. Some of them have maybe been a bit slower at start, but generally have been stronger.
Yeah, I did not expect BloodQuest to win me round as much as it did.
Again, as you can tell as it goes on, find the rhythm, find the feet, and Colin's art style gets a little bit less open again. To go back to that, perhaps he was told that was going to be in colour to start with.
Yeah.
Because that's very open and expansive art, and which ties in again with the Bretonian story that wasn't really Bretonians, with Logan LeBera on art, which was clearly designed not for black and white.
Yeah, aye. Let's not speak of that again, please. I've already just got over the nightmares. So moving on then, should we get into this interview, which I think we won't get too deep into it because, yeah, it's an interview. It's a very, very interesting interview. And it was all based in San Diego Comic-Con, which 1998 is not what San Diego Comic-Con is now.
No, it was still actually a Comic-Con.
Yes, which is nice.
So the interviews with two of the creative team from the Samos section, which is Bill Kaplan, who is DC editor and writer, and Jeff Rebner, who's comic artist, did Cybernary, Wetworks, did Hulk for a couple of issues during the Heroes Reborn era. 50, where he meets the Wild Man. Not Andy Wildman of Transformers fame, but an actual guy called the Wild Man.
I actually quite liked Cybernary. I enjoyed it back in the day. I haven't read it since, to be fair.
It's one of these things that it was one of the thing that I remember about the book at the time was the hype machine surrounding the main artist of it, Nick Manabat. Passed away very, very young due to cancer, if memory serves me.
Yes.
Didn't do a huge amount. He was kind of one of the first of the. For those of you who weren't there at the time, when Image founded, when you had your Lee Feld, your Lees, and all that, they started doing their studios and looking for the next hot thing. Many artists went through that. Some would go on to great and better things. Some would be Jeff Lee. Transformers fans, yeah, I can hear you wailing and gnashing. Yes, I know. But Nick Manabat was probably the first that kind of was the first sort of needle mover. Mike Turner, after that, to be fair, would be the next sort of. Again, who passed away criminally young due to cancer. Yes,
unfortunately.
But again, you had the time Image had we was doing that, we're absolutely pulling to get these guys through. So but one of the big issues with Image books is where they were always late. So you would find a lot of times there were a lot of jam issues, a lot of pinch hitters with artists doing them, but with the exception of Savage Dragon from Eric Larson. And Spawn, to be fair, but the books from Top Cow, Extremes, and Homage / Wildstorm, scheduling was not their best.
No.
So interviews, what it is, just a puff piece. They kind of talk about a little bit about who they like. Bill Kaplan gives you his credentials in terms of it. It's like it's Space Talisman, Space Hulk, okay, and all that. And the artist is quite clear. It's like, I'm not into the reading. It's just like, I like the imagery. And gets the models, so it's just like, and he's like, he doesn't have the patience for models, but it's just like, they're clearly mates, so his mate assembles and paints them for him.
Yep.
But what I liked about that is it's nice that it's not, oh yeah, I was always into it. He's just like, I'm not. I like an interview where you're actually getting a little bit of honesty there with it. Like, has this always been your favourite? Oh yeah, I've always loved this. Have you?
I like how sort of cheery these two seem to be. There's a Bill Kaplan says a thing here. Oh no, sorry, it was Jeff Rebner. Hi, bro. Me? Nah. I like the novelization of Escape from New York, but I have no idea who wrote it. I prefer comic books, pictures. Basically, I'm illiterate.
It very much feels like we're having a nice wee informal conversation. You get to know a bit about them. You see their tastes as well, and it's again just in terms of comics. So Jeff's a fan of Spawn and Jim Lee's X-Men.
Yep.
And then Bill Kaplan talks about Superman and Captain Marvel. By that we mean the DC one, aka Shazam and all that.
Yes,
And basically talks about comics have shrunk from the variety of the days of Casper, Tintin, and Asterix into a bunch of guys beating the crap out of each other.
It's not wrong.
And Jeff Rebner talks about, and then Jeff Rebner completely undercuts him by saying, "Yeah, my favourite characters are Wolverine and Judge Dredd." But again, it's a bit of it's a nice wee fluff piece. You get some photos of them, some bits of Jeff Rebner's other art, but again, it feels very much like it's an actual genuine interview rather than I'm doing my PR piece about how much I love stuff.
Yeah. I do want to just draw attention to Bill Kaplan's answer to, do you play any Games Workshop games at all? I played Talisman first, then got into Space Hulk in a big way. Then I bought a zillion Terminators and Warhammer 40,000, and then all the books and loads of box sets, and then the box set second edition Warhammer 40k, and that was the first time I really understood how to play. Did anyone out there actually manage to play proper games with the Rogue Trader book? We rolled lots of dice and read lots of tables, but Lord knows if we were doing anything approximating a game of Warhammer 40,000. Rogue Trader, you probably weren't, but as long as you were having a good time, you were winning.
Yeah. Yes, let's say, because I didn't get Rogue Trader because a friend of mine had the book, so I was already second edition was already out, so I got into 40k with second edition, and then I read Rogue Trader. So I've never played a game, and I got another friend gave me loads of models. I regret getting rid of them. I had like the original Dreadnoughts, Land Speeders, your comms officer spaceman with a big circular dunce in his head and things like that. All the mad stuff, and I was like, I gave that away, and I was like, I should have kept that. But yeah, I looked at Rogue Trader, going, yeah, that it's. Again, it didn't know what it wanted to be. It's a tabletop game with role. It's a role play tabletop game. It's like,
yes,
pick one. You poorly service it, but as you said, I mean, I've tried to play a game. We got next to nothing done, but it was fun. And then you went back and played second edition because you could actually play an actual game. Yes, my hardcover is actually on the shelf behind me.
Yep. And this is my third copy of Rogue Trader. And every time I go through it, I don't read it because I want to play the game. I read it because it's just a wonderful snapshot in history. And the game itself is borderline unplayable, and it's hard to believe that this actually became This became like Games Workshop's biggest seller.
Yeah.
Rogue Trader.
But again, it's nice to have just a genuine interview where it is actually we're talking, and it's clearly there'll be stuff left out because you're not having a conversation out, but it's just there's no I'm absolutely a big fan. I've always done it. I've done that. Oh, I'm a big fan of that Robert Gilliman shit. Like,
I think my favorite part of the entire thing is I actually did enjoy writing Barbie's resume for Mattel, although they edited out my reference to French harlot.
Yeah, which was a look at the time. It was like, yeah. Nice little puff piece just ahead of. So again, we've got a higher page count, and it's not a bad thing. So gets you your puff piece ahead of their story. So we will move into Samus.
Before we do that, I do feel that we have to mention the fact that they've superimposed Thunderhawks into the little pictures in the corners.
Yeah.
So Thunderhawk landing on the San Diego Comic-Con is just amazing. But yes, Sanos Sanction.
So it's a Vindicator assassin going to work on a world to take out somebody that his lords and masters deem worthy of getting a bullet.
In the way that all assassins must do.
Yeah. So now that's the officers of the Officio Assassinorum.
Yes.
The assassin's office.
Every time that pops up, it's like, that is such a badass way of saying such a terrible name.
So You have a Vindicator assassin going about his work. Right off the bat, we're getting the story in media res. He's basically being shot at by a bunch of human guys with turbans and beards and facial hair shooting at him. The Vindicator assassin, as we said, basically kind of a... I see Snake Eyes, and as you say, Snake Eyes in there, but clearly Joe Pineapples from ABC Warriors if he was a human wearing a skin suit.
Yes, the way he's holding the gun behind his head to shoot as he's dropping is very Pineapples.
The model, it's especially clear when the model first came out. It was just like, oh, that looks cool. It's like, yeah, Pineapples does look cool.
Because 40k wears its 2000 AD influences not just on its sleeve, but on the rest of its clothes as well.
Now, the story moves along at a fair clip. It's an eventful thing. It's clearly, as an assassin, he's been spotted before he can get in a position to do it. So it's all the jeopardy around him being able to make the shot. As it goes in, you're basically getting a running commentary from him through captions. Basically, he's describing what he's going to be doing to try and get the shot and what's going on as it happens. Mm-hmm. At the end, it's like, do you encounter any difficulties with your mission, 13X? And he's like, still one last detail to check. And he's like, oh, I'll just actually check. Yeah, he's dead. No problems. Mission went off with a hitch. Doing that whole thing of, yeah, I know I've made the shot before a shot. I'm not checking. I am that damn good.
Yep.
Now, I could not give a toss about this story whatsoever.
No.
It's lovely. I like Jeff Rebner's art. It's again, you can see that there's a bit of the image stylings in there, but he has a nice cartoony touch.
I was going to say, one of the things I do like about it is it has that not quite McFarlane cartooning. Cartoon would be the right word? Exaggeration, whichever way you want to put it.
Somewhere in between an R. Adams and a J. Scott Campbell.
Yeah.
If you were looking at getting a shorthand for where he sits in terms of... But yes, there's a nice cartoonist. The layouts are clear, crisp. The artwork's dynamic. There's a sense of movement. It is good. It has a couple of things that undercut it right off the bat. Is he's going to kill out the problematic leader of a bunch of dudes in turbans with a Middle Eastern sci-fi look.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
That's
the script clearly rather than, because the names are quite clear in terms of the naming convention.
Yeah, Mahmoud and all that type of things. Yeah, it's
President for Life Mahmoud. It's like the thinly veiled President for Life. Are we doing a Gaddafi reference?
Yeah, well, this is the planet of Carbomia, isn't it? That's the thing. That's where we're at, and it's the shorthand for the other. Yeah, so we're going to just go for a style that really should have not been around. Well, it shouldn't have been around in the 80s when the entire Carbomia thing was in Transformers. Yeah, and Casey Kasem rightfully decided to leave because of it.
One of these things is not to say that you can't have a villain who is Middle Eastern or what have you, but it's just we don't need this lazy caricature, stereotypical bullshit. No,
and that hurts it. And it hurts the story big time, which is a shame because, as I say, I really like the art. Story is light and fluffy, but it's fine. It does the job nicely. But once you kind of hit that, you just, oh no.
That's where we differ on that. I don't think much of the story for a couple of reasons. One, It doesn't really feel like the Vindicators from the lore, from my memory of it, were kind of, here's your sniper that will be there for like 5 days waiting to take a shot. Like proper ghosts.
Yeah.
This is either a clumsy one or one who's made it deliberately harder for himself because he wanted a challenge. But it's not really reflecting the story, and it feels at odds. There's also the thing of, I really don't give a fuck about fiction about assassins.
No.
There has been, charitably, Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice books are about the only one I would say I actually enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, in terms of assassins, you enjoy the story about how they're doing it rather than the character themselves, and by putting the character front and center, it's
well,
like Dave
this
the
is one of
Jackal.
the problems. Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
You don't care about the Jackal. How does he achieve the mission, which is kind of what they're trying to go for here. But if this feels kind of more an action adventure-y, almost again, when you see him looking kind of Snake Eyes, it does feel a bit G.I. Joey.
It does feel very G.I. Joe-like.
I just think the thing is, it's light and fluffy, which is when you're dealing with kind of hitmen, doesn't always work.
No.
And to me, it's kind of like I say, it's not that the story is bad. It's just this again, personally, not for me. Purely again, I think it's just you're a good assassin gets in, gets out, and doesn't get seen.
Yes, he acts more like a very calm, level-headed Eversor than he does a Vindicator. Yeah,
You know, it just feels very much like, what if Deadpool wasn't an idiot?
Yeah. And I think one of the problems with it is because you don't have a face, you've just got the mask, and you have no real characterization for him, for a character that is placed front and center as being the character. It's not really worked. The thing is, this is meant to be a two-parter, isn't it? Or is this a one-shot? Yeah. So as a one-shot, I don't really mind it too much because it's not going to go anywhere else. It's not going to be anything else. It's just a little story where this guy is trying to do an assassination. The problems I've got with it come from the characterization of the people on the planet that he's trying to assassinate, and the fact that you don't actually have a character. If he was quipping wise a bit more, maybe I'd be more interested in him as a character. But it runs along with a nice little and for all intents and purposes, it's in and out. And I wouldn't class it as being one of the best single strips that we've had, but I also wouldn't class it as being one of the worst. It's fine. It does what it wants to do, and unfortunately, one of the things it wants to do is play with very outdated themes that really have no place.
Yeah, that's again just it's really lazy, but it's also like I say, it's part of my antipathy towards the story is exacerbated fact. I find it very difficult to have a toss about Hitman stuff because to go back to Frank Miller, is that when he's in Sin City when Marv's killing the Hitman, he goes, I love torturing a Hitman. You can do whatever you want to them, and you don't feel a damn thing.
Yeah.
You basically have a problem with it. You've got a protagonist who is basically killing people for whatever their motivation.
Yeah.
Why should I care?
That's a fair question.
Like I say, fiction around them again, like the mechanic and all the various other like the various Statham stuff, which I watch because it's Jason Statham more than anything else. God bless him. Still want him to be Batman one day.
Oh, an old Batman. That would work actually.
Adam knows this because we've had this discussion before, but for many years I have long championed the cause of Jason Statham as Batman with Danny Dyer as Robin. It'd be an unholy train wreck, but it'd be amazing at the same time.
Well, after seeing The Beekeeper, I'm more into it than I used to be.
But yeah, it's dealing with any sort of Hitman fiction that I've enjoyed is ones where they're actually, let's say, like Dave the Jackal, because it's about how he goes about doing it, and and he's calm, and the hunt for him, and it's the methodical approach.
Yeah,
this feels very much like you've made the mistake already, and you're trying to get around it to get the hit, which doesn't kind of feel like in lore what the Vindicator would do. It's fine for like I say, it's fine for a story. It's not awful. Some awful choices. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the thing that stands out for me the most is my favorite character is the really angry eagle head when he's climbing up the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that eagle doesn't look like it's a statue. It looks like it's just an actual metal eagle, and it's pissed off at people. Yeah, I mean, as I say, it is there. It's fine. I quite liked how quickly it just burned through the pages, being a.
Yep, there's an energy to the artwork which helps it. Again, it's why I didn't hate it, but it's just like this is not a story for me.
No, that's fine.
And you can let's say Had they done something better visually with the script in terms of the planet they're on, in terms of what they're doing, maybe I'd be more charitable towards it. But these are ones that are just like, yeah, that's not happening.
No, and you're absolutely on the money there. It doesn't act in the correct way. If it had been a much slower story about waiting for the right moment, it could have been something really special, to be honest. But because it's an action chase.
I charitably would go, if you were doing that same creative team, that would not have been a good fit for Jeff Rebner.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's important. Part of the mechanics of when you're dealing with comics is you should always be writing for your. If it's a writer-artist team, you should be writing for your artist. In that,
yes, yeah,
you're drawing to their strengths. As I say, Jeff's work is, I say, on the cartoon side, which I like, and I say, but it's dynamic and it's energetic. So him doing a more traditional Vindicare one would have been probably pretty poor.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
And unlike, I say, to go back to the Bretonian one, sorry, Adam, is again, Jeff traditionally does stuff for the US market, which is full colour. In here, he's got it right in terms of there's a much better balance with the blacks and the whites. So it's clearly, he's drawn it for black and white in the way that the Bretonian story wasn't.
There's a mark in its favour.
Cartooning, and that's the thing, is the facial expressions are good. There's some nice variation on the characters in terms of the look, but it's the fact that we're playing into stereotypes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one. It's unnecessary, unneeded, and it shouldn't be happening in 1998.
No.
To be honest with you, if it had happened post 2001, I probably would have understood it more. But in 1998, that's so weird. And I will prefix, I would have understood it. I wouldn't have agreed with it.
That is correct. Yes, again,
to make.
Yeah, but let's say, as one-offs go, we've not had a lot of 40k one-offs because they've all been Jericho's, and they're not really one-offs; they're just recurring stories.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, we don't give any form of thingy. Bloody hell, Adam! Come on, use your brain. We don't give any kind of score or anything for these things, but this is a solid 5 out of 10 for me.
It's not objective. Again, as we touched on it, again, there's always an element of subjectivity. It's not to my taste.
Yeah,
but
completely.
It held my attention enough that I read it through, and it wasn't a problem. And again, the art is decent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but again, as we said, it's an anthology, so not everything is going to land. And
Correct. Although I am interested to see what their Raven Wing 2-part is going to be like.
Yes. Again, Dark Angels and the Boys. Looking forward to that.
I look forward to the messages I get next Tuesday night.
I'll try and be charitable, because the important thing is it's all interpretation. Yes, we shall. So after, again, script by Rich. I cannot see because I shrank the page down.
Script by Michael Brown, art by Simon Harrison, letters by Kid Robson.
Yeah. So I didn't need you to tell me it was Simon that was on the art. At the desk I'm doing this, behind me I have some various bits of art on the wall. I have 2 pages of God's favourite comic, Transformers Generation 2. Both Manny Roland pages. A very nice acrylic painting of Jazz by Ed Pinney. And I also have a sketch of Johnny Alpha from Simon Harrison. All framed and on the wall behind me at my wee shrine.
That's very cool.
So Simon's work's always there when I'm at the desk. However, at the end of last point, Rack's been dispatched. Shadowfast is going back to find his kin. He's got a staff that he's been linked to, and he's got a rune on his hand. And the staff has drawn him to the Vaults Mountains in search of answers and freedom from the spell which binds it to him. And he's walking, and he sees a small wagon, and he up ahead, and it's like immediately goes for a sword because it's clearly not his kin.
Please, sir, do not harm us. We've paid enough this day. Tell me, human, who has done this? We were delivering tribute to the castle as your kin demanded when the rat men ambushed us. My kin? Elves demanding tribute of men? You lie. I swear, sir, your kin are trapped now in the gully yonder. The rat men have some sort of cannon. Okay, consider me interested.
Yep. So he's like, elves, castles, tribute. What does this mean? And then he hears explosions. Legs it. So gunfire echoes out because obviously it's the Rat Men, so they've got guns because they are cool.
Because Skaven are just ace.
Yeah. So he immediately legs it. He's scaling down this mountain in the direction of what it is, and he sees that there are elves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're demanding tribute for a castle.
I love the fact that the kinsman. I must have answered kinsman. Do you have bows? What? Why? 2 crossbows? Who are you? This poor guy's just like, the fuck is happening? Who are you? Why are you here? Where's your clothes? It's cold.
Yeah. That's like a fell wealth, one who maybe helps. He tells them to stay covered and he'll return fire, and he's off to tackle the Rat Men. And we get a glimpse of the Rat Men in action with their cannon and their. What I love right away is how bestial the Rat Men are, and there's a tendency with Skaven that they end up looking a little bit cute. And it has its place at times, but not here. These are not your widow adorable Skaven. These are, again, these are Rat Men.
Yeah. How awesome is that, though? That is 7 shades of freaking brilliant. It's I don't use the word gorgeous because that's not right, because it's ugly and
it's grotesque.
Yeah. My God, do I love it.
Yeah, and so he basically heads back to the wagon that he'd seen previously, and because he'd seen earlier on, you'd seen there was a hook on the shelf inside it, and he's like, crude human construction, but it might do the trick. Come on now, species them. That's better than that elf. These men are just like burn elf burn and firing the warp fire shotguns. It's like,
I do like the idea of shouting faster warp fire. That's not how fire works. Even warp fire, it has a terminal speed.
Yeah, no one and nothing shall stand before our warlord Scaros. Unleash his rat ogre champion. Yes, yes. And so they do that. Just that. They unleash the rat ogre champion. Again, just the grit. It's off model enough from that, but still recognisable that it is a rat ogre, but is not leaning into slavishly holding to the designs. In the same way that Shadowfast doesn't really look like a wood elf from any of the wood elf models.
No. There's elements and tributes and parts that you can kind of see come from the wood elves, but he is very much his own thing. Same with these Skaven. They are, honestly, if they had started making the Skaven to look like this more often, I would have been over the moon. They look like they smell horrible.
Yeah, again, as I said, grotesque. These are monstrous creatures and let's say, as the Rat Ogre champion's there, Shadowfast hurls the grapple, and I don't know about you, but the next dialogue,
I know exactly where you're going. I had this thought.
Kurnos, give me the eye of the hawk and the strength of the bear to save this day.
Visionaries, Knight of the Magical.
Oh, I was not going there at all. You went wrong. You went left. Should have gone right. I'm sorry, but were you not needing Speed of the Puma as well?
Brave Star, yeah, of course.
All I just had was Brave Star.
Of course. I'm annoyed because I went Visionaries. I saw Visionary spells.
No, the minute he went eye of the hawk and strength of it, all I heard was Speed of the Puma.
Oh my God, I love the fact that we both went deep into 80s franchises in different directions.
Yes.
But yes, it doesn't quite work for the grappling hook pulls down all the stone, all the rock. Die, elf, die! No! And I love the fact that the Skaven need to repeat the last word in a sentence is being used, even though he's being crushed to death by 1,000 tons of rock.
And you then get him confronting when he's got the staff, the rat ogre, and you see this again. The face is just amazing. Something else, isn't it? Again, it's what I'm loving in sort of the recent issues, since Shadowfall, is it's clear that when they're commissioning artists, they've had an eye on, I want you to be doing very specific stuff. So we've dug out the editorial guys enough repeatedly over the last few months for various decisions, but It's clear that, and let's say you can commission stuff and it won't always work, but if you paid for it, you're going to need to publish it. But they very much seem to have a handle on. There's a type of story we want you to do because it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying the artist could not do that, but couldn't do certain ones. But for example, you could give a Blood Quest to a Simon Harrison, to a John Hicklinton, and you would get a darker, more brooding, but you would still be able to get that. But I think had you given Shadowfast to a Jeff Rebner, you are not getting this. And it's not a slight on Jeff Rebner. It's just about his cartoony. You would not get the grotesquerie, the repugnant looking creatures that you're getting here. So that there very much does seem to be a good cohesive approach now that they found feet in terms of you're doing this, you're doing this. I have a story, because we had Simon have to do a little bit, then comes in and does this and gets Shadowfast. So they clearly have their eye on, you can do this sort of material. This is what you're aimed at. So he dispatches the rat ogre, and then the elves come forward in the shadows. Many thanks, kinsman. Your ability is remarkable, only surpassed by your courage. And it's like, it is our way. And it's like, truly it is. Never have I seen such a selfless act in the name of our murder god Cain. And it's Dark Elves.
Dun, dun, dun. I've been helping Dark Elves. Colonels, forgive me.
And they're like, saved by a weakling tree-loving wood elf. I'm sure we can repair. And to be continued. Yes.
What a bloody brilliant, wonderful way of turning the tables at the end of the story. Because honestly, I didn't see it coming, and I should have done, because it's an obvious thing to do in a story, but it's done so well, it never occurred to me. Yeah,
because to humans, an elf is an elf is an elf.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter, in the same way that like a dwarf's a dwarf. You're just going to look at, and if they look at, the elves will draw no distinction between the Tilians, the Empire, or Bretonians, just you're all humans.
Yeah. Very true. But honestly, it even, the thing at the start, we have to pay the elves tribute. I should have guessed. I should have known that's what the purpose was going to be. But the story moves along at such a brisk clip that you don't really stop to think about it. It's so well done.
Well, you're also looking at it as like, he's saying that it's true, but it's like, yeah, you could be saying anything. So you're not really taking anybody at their word. So you're not. No. And all you've got is somebody that's injured and going, yeah, it was elves, that they're Skaven as a canon and all that. So he's going to find out. And you're like, yeah, they're clearly they're elves there, but far away enough that he couldn't really see because of what was going on. Yeah, and it's also, in terms of, it's the payoff at the ending, but it's not important in terms of the actual story.
No.
You're not going to be going, oh, it's not well, it is kind of, he wants to know more about it. He's drawn towards the gunfire.
Yeah, aye.
And then he sees that elves are under attack, but he still doesn't know that they're accepting tribute. He just goes, there's a castle of the Skaven there, so it could be anything. So there's no, and then you're straight into the fight.
Yep.
The Skaven are the threat at this point, and then it's like, yep, you've got elves, and it's like, no, elves, but dark elves. Away you go. I mean, the bit that you possibly would have been, and he said it quite nicely, is when there's mention of crossbows.
Yeah. Yeah, so it should have really sprung out at me. It's so well foreshadowed, and you just, because of the speed of the story and the way that you get to the Skaven, and the Skaven take up all of the story very quickly, it's so well done. It's a bloody masterclass in how to foreshadow.
It's also to part of it, isn't it? It's to do with, and I would say part of modern media appreciation in terms of it is like the cinema sins generations that we're in is. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be looking for that. You should be trying to engage with the story, and if the story's engaging enough, you'll if the material pops up and it hangs in it, you may pick up or speculate or what have you. But if it's not front and center or germane to what you're looking at, it's just you engage with the story on its own terms and enjoy it. And again, I'm primarily coming at this from the art as opposed to anything in the story. the fact that I'm enjoying the story is secondary to me. I am here for Simon Harrison's art, and that's kind of what I'm drawn to. So I wasn't focusing on it's Dark Elves. Absolutely, it's like, once you get there, it's like, yep, okay, yeah, it might not be Wood Elves, and the minute they mention crossbows, yes, Dark Elves.
Yeah, and it just sets up the next part really well. It's like genuinely, I want to get to the next part. It's like I want to get to it now.
What it's also doing is it's you've got Shadowfast is on his quest. It tells you what he's doing very quickly in it, and then it's in a way that Darkblade never did, because the quest is a quest. It was front and center. I was like, no, this feels more natural. Like, yeah, this is my end point, but things are coming up.
Yeah,
and they take up the focus of the story.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got everything up to that point in 2 captions.
Yeah, but it's like, even just taking out of context, well, any of us, we go to our work with a, here is my plan. My end goal for the day is I need to have X done.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that comes up during the day of varying importance will get in the way and do stuff. And and your mind will not be on that end goal at that point. It will not be front and center. You'll be on to the task at hand, which is kind of what the best kind of sort of questing adventure stories tend to be. Is the thing, you have your ultimate goal, which is get this MacGuffin, but things get in the way, and they should come to prominence with that being the undercurrent behind it, and you revisit it, but you don't have to consistently go, oh, by the way, I'm on here to get this. As I say, unlike Darkblade, which is like, I'm here for the artifact, I've got my artifact, I'm going to the next artifact, I've got the artifact, on the next one. There was no sense, again, which is probably, looking at it now to revisit Darkblade a little bit, it's probably why Darkblade was so, to our eyes, so poor. There was nothing other than the quest.
No, there wasn't. Yeah, and it had this awful stop-starty feel to it that robbed it of momentum every single issue.
Yeah, because everyone's a disc, whereas this still feels like a journey.
Yeah. This is still connected to that very first Shadowfast story that we read. We've got that continuing momentum. It feels like everything picks up where, even though it's not a one-to-one, but this picks up where the last one ended, it feels like it is the same thing happening throughout. This is not a series of intersected little moments in the character's life. Yeah. This is a continuation of that person's life and what they're going through. Darkblade was these intersected, disconnected moments that just, here's the next issue, here's the next issue, here's the next issue. And outside of Barry the Bullman, it was just not worth reading.
Yeah. And that, which again is, so I think, had you, in hindsight, if we look at it now, is like, if you'd done there's 5 artifacts to get, book 1 should have been 1 artifact.
Yes, 100%.
And then book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, rather than, I've got the artifact, I'm now free, I'm now going to get my revenge.
Yeah.
And possibly book 2 will allow it to be a bit more free, because I'm there to hunt someone down. Possibly.
We'll see. I'm not looking forward to the return of Darkblade. I'm really not.
The spectre of Darkblade looms, which again, so it's just annoying that you can see what Shadowfast does right, just further throws into context where Darkblade made those mistakes. Again, so the story itself, as I say, we're in the way. I've got another threat to deal with. And again, we're not constantly agonizing about that, oh, I must get rid of this staff. It's just, I'm going to try and get rid of it, but while it's there, I'll use it. We're all good.
Yep. Going to go get some answers, and on the way, I'm going to kill some ratmen.
Yes. As we said, and as will be our refrain, I think pretty much any time Simon's work graces this book, it's bloody amazing.
It's gorgeous. It's spectacular. You know, the elves and stuff are really good, but honestly, the way he draws Skaven is beyond repair. It is gorgeous in a grotesque manner. Even the ones in the background, it's just, and honestly, my favorite picture of them is you got the Giselle, and in the background you've just got all these shadows of Skaven, and they're just frickin' hell.
Yeah, I mean, his back just for me, it's the sense of movement and chaos when he brings down the rocks.
Yeah,
and just loads of rat men die. But it's the fact it's to contrast that with Dwarflords. It's a chaotic scene, but it's still eminently readable. I can pick that image that I need, which is kind of what we touched on. There's no less black and white, black ink work from Simon Harrison there is with Dwarflords, but it's just the application of it is much, much better. The storytelling is clearer and concise. Everything's distinct.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It's like any Simon Harrison work for me is just it's a thing to be treasured. But like I say, in terms of for anyone who is a Strontium Dog fan, I know technically it's heresy because Carlos Esquerra, it was his creation and he was the guy, but I first read Strontium Dog with Simon Harrison. He's my guy. I love Carlos. I have signed work from him, but one of these artists that hit at the right time for me, and that's always something to remember when you're engaging with material. And if like us, we'd love to hear if anyone, when you first engage with this material in terms of kind of age and kind of artistically, how hard did this hit? Did it hit? Did it miss? Because let's say the Hicklingtons, the Bisleys, and him all hit when I was 12.
Yes.
I was 12, 13, so just that sweet spot. I joke about it in terms of the stereotypical sort of cis-het male boy. Simon Bisley is the perfect artist for a 12-year-old. Robots, tits, and guns. Proper metal stuff. They all occupy different spaces within that intent, but they have kind of they are similar in feel, not approach. That's the thing is to watch, but you can see where they all come from, and there's a shared space, a shared creative space, if you will.
Yeah,
it's always about with certain artists. You will get them at the moment, and you will either get them straight away, or it will take you years to appreciate their art as well. There are lots of artists that, again, I'm sure we talked before. Jack Kirby's an artist that people will either get very quickly, or it takes them years to learn to appreciate. But when you appreciate it, you suddenly understand. It's like a light bulb moment that goes off. Tastes of all.
Yeah, and I had that with Kirby myself. I wasn't a huge fan of him when I was a kid, but somewhere in my late 20s, it hit for me, and I understood what Kirby did, and it's incredible work.
Yeah. Again, to the 2008 spectacle, it is Mick McMahon, who was the first artist to draw Dredd in the comic. He's an artist whose style restlessly evolves, and it does move.
Mm-hmm.
And because when I started reading Dredd, read bits of it, and the first Dredd I probably read was the Second Judge Death story with Brian Bolland, and then Requiem for a Heavyweight by Carlos, and Best of 2008. So the Bolland Dredd is like, at that point that's the platonic ideal of Dredd. So it was that clean artwork with lots of lines and lots of detail kind of appealed to me. Him, Ron Smith, and things like that. And you saw McMahon reprints, and you're like, it was scratchy, it was slightly uglier, and it was like, yeah, I'm not getting you. Then he did Howler in the magazine, and it was just this flat, kind of cubist kind of thing. It was nothing else. And the light bulb just went, because I loved it. And bear in mind, this is the time I'm balls deep in X-Men, like Jim Lee, Lee Feld, Todd McFarlane, and this thing comes along, and it's like an absolute lightning bolt. You're like, whoa. And I shouldn't like it. I shouldn't have, based on everything I was reading, but this just went, oh, I'm here. And I remember the letters. And McMahon, by this point, is a bit of an elder statesman and a well-regarded classic. And the comments and the letters, people were dogpiling something fierce. Like, this is disgraceful. Why are you printing this? What's he done? So lazy, blah, 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 blah. And as we've touched on, if you go to the spiritual sequel of the greatest kids toy comic, Transformers, Sonic the Comic, you see a lot of that McMahon style in there, and it's like nothing I'd seen before. It was great.
Dobbin had a much more subdued feel to it, and I started off, I didn't like it, but about maybe 3 or 4 issues of Nigel Dobbin's work, it clicked, and I was like, actually, no, this stuff's incredible. And it's got to the point now where Dobbin's my favourite artist in Sonic the Comic.
Sadly passed away.
Not that long ago either.
And also a Strontium Dog alumni, because he took over Strontium
Yes.
Dogs after Steve Pugh and Garth Ennis was on the book and brought back the Gronk.
He did.
And killed off Johnny Alpha technically for a second time. He stayed dead long enough until Prog 2000. And even then, it wasn't immediately after Prog 2000. It was just at the point they just decided we're doing all these flashbacks. We're bringing him back. Because I asked John Wagner about it at a convention once because he was doing it in Glasgow. And I just given Johnny his death and all that, is like, did you have any concerns about bringing him back in terms of what reaction readers would say? Now, John Wagner is American by way of Scottish, so I just went, honestly, no, didn't care. It was just beautiful. It's like, no, bring him back. That's it. Don't care.
You hear a lot of stories of Wagner being very blunt to the point of things.
He was not rude, I should state, by any stretch of the. He was lovely, but yes, it was just that there's no fat there. The most he talked about on that interview, in terms of, because he was quite he's very matter of fact and dry, which is kind of, it can be a Scottish trait, so it's worth it. But the most animated and interested he got on the panel was talking about his chickens. It was a beautiful thing to behold. You're like, I always loved his work because such an, in terms of writing violent comic strips, just the economy of work, and you master at it. And it was just one of these things that just endeared me. Where I was like, because I remember there was a friend where we were just like, one of these interesting bits. Again, to go back to the Puff Piece interview, which wasn't really Puff Piece, but it's like these things when you get to talk, when creators get to talk, it's like it's the bits around what they do are generally more interesting than what they do because they just view it as a job.
Yes, yeah. But I always remember talking to Crikey. His name's just gone straight out of my head.
Livio Rimondelli. He's a lovely fellow, very nice eyes, dreamy.
Oh, dreamy eyes.
Very
smells
dreamy.
Great.
Yeah.
Never smelled a man smell that good.
Once hid under a table with him to try and surprise artists and behind in the convention days in Auto Assembly.
Or the old Wild West of Auto Assembly.
Oh, it's when we had the artist commission room, which I was in charge of. So it's just like, come in, sit and draw. You just got to sit and chat with everyone. It's one of the perks of running things. I just said, Oh, some of them have left the room. Should we just go on? I think it was Kat who said, should we just go on the table and hide from them? Just jump out surprise. It's like, okay. Took them about 5-10 minutes from it, come back. So just under the table, just ridiculous. Chatting away like idiots. One Nick Roche was under the table as well, I should also point out.
Yes. Unfortunately, my Nick Roche story, I can't tell when recording.
Yes. Lovely film.
Outside of the on-running joke of thank you for inviting me into your shitty little podcast, which is got printed on a t-shirt once, and the man was very, very embarrassed.
Art-wise, it's just there. So what we're going to do is, let's say we're not done yet, because we mentioned we have a letters page.
We do. We're not going to go through them all, because there's actually more here than I would have expected, as I assumed they've been coming in. But I find it interesting that what kind of coming out from this is that people want miniatures. People want, well, obviously they do. They really want miniatures of the stuff. Consider making my favorite characters from the Warhammer Monthly comic. These are Inquisitor Hand, Ethereal Stern, Captain Leonatus, Sergeant Cloten, and Cal Jericho. 2 of them end up with miniatures. The rest do not.
It's interesting. There's a couple of people talk about, could you change the format, make it colour, make it in size, could you come out more frequent? So these are interesting to get. These are only a sample. You're hoping that when the letters have been assembled, this is reflective of what's gone in, which is what a good letters page is meant to be, if it's done properly. Some poor souls seem to like Dark Blade. We won't name and shame, that's just rude, but yeah. Some people are
young.
Yes. They don't know any better.
Being possessed by excitement for the next issue. Field hint: comic could be increased in size to A4 to make it more desirable to non-Games Workshop personnel. Color script could be added. There's a thing in British comics that you don't really see much in American comics, and that is stuff like, a guy that we both know, the fabled Llama, who wrote into SFX every single month for about 4 years.
I think so.
Yeah, where we have these people write in with silly names and they write in a certain way. And I'm hoping that the chunk kind of comes back because it's just fun and it's very British and it makes me happy. It made me so happy to see.
Even if he did like Darkblade.
That's fine. He likes.
But no, it's the again, you have a good letters page. US comics tend to be, again, a bit more, but what you would have is there were certain letter writers in US comics who you would recognize if you read certain books.
Yeah.
Because they would be regular, and they generally tend to be more thoughtful in terms of their positions and their discussions of it. But there are T.M. Maple, Olav Beamer, does Pipeline, and I can't remember his name. Does the Pipeline podcast, but he was also in it. There was a few names that you would regularly see in US comics in letters pages, both Marvel and DC, who would, again, a little bit of a cult, but you would actually tended to be kind of, I'm trying to think who else the other ones, but I need to know his name now. It's now annoying me. The Pipeline pod, Augie de Bleak. That's it.
Right.
I knew I'd remember it, but there were sort of prominent letters, and there have been sort of before. Those are the ones I know from my era of reading comics, but you tend to have, but like I said, the UK ones, because they would have that, usually the fictional editor, you would have people engage in universe, if you will, which is not really something you get, because the letters in the US would always have the editor mentioned, or the assistant editor, depending on who was doing it. Because it's Tharg, it's Soundwave, it's Blaster, you're going to have people engage saying, I'm such and such from whatever, and engage on their own terms, and it's a nice thing. It's a welcome change of pace, because you can sometimes see because letters pages were the precursor to message boards and Usenet, also Usenet message boards, social media, where everyone's convinced about the importance of their own opinion, which, again, as I've said earlier, is like, oh, this is a podcast of two guys giving their opinion, which, in the grand scheme of things, carries fuck all weight, is no more or less valid than anyone else's opinion. We hope it's interesting and what we've discussed resonates with people, but again, it shouldn't just be a case of people taking, oh yeah, because they said that the assassin story was poor, it's a poor story, or what have you. It's like, no, make that decision for yourself.
Absolutely. And I hope that what we're getting across here is that we have a love of this medium. And it's not as much I'm always aware that it can come across sometimes as being just giving something a kicking for the sake of giving it a kicking. And I never want to do that. I want to talk about things because I have a love for this medium, especially when it comes to the UK side of the medium. I do have a ridiculous love for it. So, yeah, all this comes from a place of love.
Oh, 100%. I mean, sure, we talked about it. The thing is, if I do not like something, I generally will not talk about it.
Yeah.
Or if I'm asked an opinion, or if you ask me why I don't like it, I will articulate it to you, but I do not post. For example, I don't go on Blue Sky and go, latest issue of X is out, it's awful because X, Y, and Z. There's enough of that out there. I don't need to talk about it because I don't like it. Why would I spend time on it? For example, big Transformers fan, as you should all know by now if you've been listening. The current Skybound comic does nothing for me in terms of a story. The art is brilliant. I think the story's, to be honest, pretty poor. It's not connecting with me at all, but I'm not the target audience. I was speaking to the owner of the local comic shop, and she was saying loads of new fans. I'm like, yeah, it's not for me. So it's like, it's cool. Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
However, I would point out that the free comic book day, they had a kid-friendly one called With the World's Worst Transformer, introducing a character called Ballpoint. Loved it. Brilliant. So if you ask me, I'll talk to you about that for 20, 30 minutes, gladly. I'm not going to spend any time talking to you about why I don't like Skybound unless you really want to know.
Yeah.
And when we dig out things, it's from a point of view of, this should be better, here's what could, and we will suggest what we would have liked to see. Would it have been any better? We don't know.
No.
Would it have landed with the readers at the time? We can't tell you with any certainty. But all we can say is, this is what we would be looking for. Now, there's certain things that I think we can all agree, while they are our opinion, they do venture closer to fact, such as some of the poorer design choices in terms of readability.
Yeah.
That goes strays from the subjective to the objective, because if I can't read it, you've done it wrong.
Completely correct.
But in terms of the subject of the story, because clearly there are people who enjoyed Darkblade.
Yeah.
And there were people who would be listening to this podcast who would be going on going, what are you two blathering about? Darkblade's the best thing since sliced bread. I was like, fair enough. Not to me.
And if that's you, then let us know. Talk to us about it, because I'll be interested to know what you like. What did you enjoy about Darkblade? This is interesting to me because it's a discussion, it's a conversation. If you start coming at me and you're just throwing insults and stuff, then I'm not going to engage with you. Just so you know.
Oh yeah, the whole point is, it's different things resonate with people, and it's. There can also be certain things such as it's the time that the mood you're in when you read will influence things. There's enough things I know that people said you need to watch, you need to engage with it. It's like, right now I'm not in the headspace for it. If I watch it, I won't enjoy it. Yeah. And I respect your opinion, so I'll leave it and I'll come back to it.
Yeah. That's
because there are things you can look at and then you can go back with fresh eyes, a different mood. We engage with everything based on where we are mentally and emotionally at the time, and it like it or not. And as we've talked about, and as I've made abundantly clear, none of these opinions are without biases. I've talked about, I say, anytime Hicklinton or Harrison are there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to tell you this is brilliant because I genuinely think it's brilliant, and I'll dig out and criticise where there is, but you'll have noticed that there's very little criticism of their work, and it's knowing that I find it difficult to be objective when it comes to them. And I've been quite upfront about it, so if people do want to, because there's occasional anatomy issues with both, but they're not looking to be realistic, so I'm not looking for that. If I want realistic anatomy, there are other people to get it. Also, if you want realistic anatomy, why are you looking at a story about elves fighting rat men in a mountain range? Let's have a chat.
As always, you can find us on Blue Sky at The Fluff and Hammer. You can find us on Facebook if you so wish. Just search for The Fluff and Hammer. We have a page and a group. You can find us on Discord in the links below. Come and join us on Discord. It's a nice little community we've got built up on Discord now. You can find us on Instagram if you so wish. Once again, search for The Fluff and Hammer. If you want to send us an email, send it to fluffandhammer@gmail.com. I keep saying thefluffandhammer@gmail.com. That's wrong. Somebody already had that, the bastards. I don't know how or why. It might have been me at some point, and I've forgotten about it. Who knows?
I have very distinct. I won't say on camera, on podcast. I have a very distinctive image in my head of who has it and why, and I hope we will talk off recording. Closer to home than that, but still a ways away.
So yeah, you can email us at fluffandhammer@gmail.com. Please send in your letters, send in your emails, because I would love to see your guys' reactions. I would love to hear what you guys think of both the show and the comic itself. So yeah, please let us know. Andy, is there anything you wish to pimp out?
So it's difficult to remember. By the time this comes out, TFN possibly will have happened or will be about to happen. If not,
it'll be just about to happen.
So we'll be in August. So I will probably be up to my eyeballs. So if you do message me right this time, don't expect a prompt response because it will be all systems go for TF Nation 2025. But usually Blue Sky, addcomics.bsky.social. I am elsewhere, but I generally don't. It's like, don't add me on Facebook because I very rarely add new people. I don't like the platform. I've got it because I have to for event stuff. But feel free to hit me up on Blue Sky. I am in the Fluff and Hammer Discord, but very rarely post. I have a lot of things to do.
I know the feeling well. Time is not. I mean, we're sitting here, and I know full well that tomorrow my entire day is going to be spent putting a magazine together. Because for some reason I've decided I'm going to self-publish magazines as well.
Well, lucky you. My entire day is sadly I'm currently representing several of my colleagues for group consultation because we're at risk of redundancy. Most of us are going to be redundant, but I'm doing that, so I have a 4-hour meeting. So most of my day will be taking up prep for that meeting, then post that.
So much fun.
Duck balls!
If it helps any, once I've done all that, I will be then going to work until 1 a.m.
Yeah, but you'll have had the high of the magazine.
True.
You'll have the fulfillment from that. I have an onslaught of crap because I'm representing people who I've never met because they don't actually work in our office. They work down south.
Mm-hmm.
Just just by virtue of that's fine. I don't mind it, but it's like I'm going to have to do a bit more work on their behalf than I would do if I was repping my own team.
Right. That'll be a long day for you, man. A long day.
Yeah.
So I think with all that being said, then we shall get out of here, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much for listening, if indeed you still are.
Farewell.
Bye bye.